Tonight, taking a bite out of rising grocery prices.
We're committing today to bring in more transparency for Manitobans.
How the province plans to take on shrinkflation and the reaction from local grocers. Also tonight, why a new housing project in St. Boniface might not be going ahead despite getting the thumbs up from city councillors. Plus, powering up.
We're about to see the fruits of the labor of all of the work that's been put in.
How a clean energy project will reshape life in one northern Manitoba community.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The Manitoba government says it will target shrinkflation with a new law, while also exploring the possibility of a downtown grocery store. The measures come from a food price study released today. Finance Minister Adrian Salas says his government wants to increase access to groceries, make them more affordable, and prices more transparent. Standing by live with the details is CTV's Jeff Keel. So Jeff, how are these ideas being received by shoppers and the industry?
A very mixed bag. Some say this will make a difference with more clarity. Others say they can't see how this will drive down prices. It seems you get a lot less in your grocery cart for more money these days.
You buy the essentials and you have to really grin and bear it.
I just don't understand how people are making it now. It must be very difficult for them.
The province released a grocery price study Monday with the aim of lowering costs. Based on the study, the finance minister says the province will bring in a new law to target shrinkflation. That's when packaging is reduced, but the price stays the same or rises. Now grocers will have to display the unit price so people will know when they are paying more for less.
Ultimately, what this will require will be a much higher level of transparency, allowing Manitobans to be able to compare prices.
I'm all for that, you know, because people aren't going to read the fine print on the back of a box. I don't.
But some in the industry say this won't make a difference.
Don't keep coming back to me and have me do more and more work that's really not going to drive prices down.
Also based on feedback from the study, the province says it will explore the possibility of a new downtown grocery store to improve access to affordable food.
Absolutely, I need fresh produce, desperately, and fresh meat.
It's a real grocery desert.
Plans for the new Portage Place have included a full grocery store, but the study says the government could explore a public grocery store model where traditional retail options are limited.
This is only about committing to continuing to look at how we ensure that people can access healthy groceries downtown. In terms of the delivery approach, this right now is just simply a commitment to explore.
Generally okay with most of the recommendations. A couple of them are head scratchers, like the public grocery store.
The province is also committing to measure the price of food in different regions across Manitoba so they can respond to families' needs based on where they live.
Jeff, what else is the province doing to curb costs?
Well, remember, PST is coming off groceries on July 1st, and they did freeze 1 litre milk prices. The finance minister says they are still exploring whether they will also freeze the price of milk for other sized cartons.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. The province also announced funding for a major expansion of Harvest Manitoba. The Manitoba government announced $2.5 million for the planned Food Transformation Centre. That's where Harvest will take donated food from farms and grocery stores and turn it into healthy meals to reduce waste. The new 100,000 square foot centre is expected to make 520,000 meals a year.
Well, as you can see here in the warehouse today, I mean, we're absolutely up to our ears in inventory. We've had a doubling of the number of people that we serve in the last 5 to 6 years. So the reality is the infrastructure, the building that we have in place today simply no longer meets our needs. We need to have more space, more cold storage, more ability for shipping, receiving, but also food transformation.
The project is estimated to cost $30 million to build a location, which has not yet been chosen. A 55-year-old man is dead following an unprovoked attack in North Point, Douglas. Winnipeg police say the man was approached by another man in the 100 block of Henry Avenue around 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon. During an unprovoked argument, the suspect stabbed the victim in the upper body before running off. The victim, identified as Ronald Alexander Grego Finlay, was rushed to hospital but died. The homicide unit is investigating anyone with information, including dash cam, security, or cell phone video around the time of the incident, is asked to call police or Crime Stoppers. A gas leak Sunday in Winnipeg's West End prompted the evacuation of several homes in the area. It all happened around 8:15 p.m. According to the city, crews were called to a vacant home in the 400 block of Langside Street due to reports of an unnatural gas smell. When crews arrived, they detected elevated gas levels within the home, and as a result, several nearby homes were evacuated and the area was closed off to traffic. Manitoba Hydro crews managed to locate and fix the leak. Once gas levels were determined to be safe, residents were able to return home and the road was reopened. No one was hurt. A controversial infill development plan has passed its first hurdle. The development at 470 Des Muron was hotly debated at the Riel Community Committee and passed unanimously. But as CTV's Harrison Shin shows you, the developer didn't get a free pass.
Despite opposition from nearby residents, a significant housing development in St. Boniface got its first green light.
We are requesting some fairly minor variances. Variances that have been approved for countless other infill developments, including 2 of our developments just down the street.
470 Des Muron Street is currently a light industrial zone, previously housing the company Overhead Door. On Friday, the Riel Community Committee unanimously voted yes to rezone the property to residential. Freedom Developments wanted 11 variances, such as no front yards and no guest parking. City councillors said, not so fast.
We agree with 5. We'll give you part of one of them, and we disagree with 5. And eventually the 3 councillors decided to back the planning department. We could have voted one by one, but it seemed like a good balancing act.
City planners recommended 10 feet of front yard and keep the 11 required guest parking spaces. Developer Jonathan Freed said some of his other buildings don't have any visitor parking, and here there's ample street parking.
I guess the alternative is if we went below grade for parking and rents skyrocketed and we could no longer do affordable housing. So that's kind of the trade-off.
Mayor Scott Gillingham says residents' concerns should be kept in mind.
It's too early for me to say, if I hope to see any changes, but I do want to see housing built and look forward to this file coming through the committee process.
CTV News reached out to area councillor Matt Allard for additional comment. Allard reserved his comment as the matter still needs to be voted by council. Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Well, it's official. The megastorm that rocked our province earlier this month is now tied for the highest number of claims Manitoba Public Insurance has ever received due to a single weather event. MPI has now received roughly 24,000 claims from the weather event, which saw numerous tornado alerts and widespread hail damage. The previous record was set following a hailstorm back in 1996. Now, because of the sheer volume of claims, MPI has actually opened up a dedicated hail response center at its Gateway Service Center. It opened last Wednesday and has already handled more than 1,200 assessments. The public insurer is warning there could be delays in getting claims processed due to the high volumes which continue to pour in. The Manitoba Marathon took over Winnipeg Sunday.
As long as we can run, we will do this every year.
Every year.
A record 14,000 runners left Princess Auto Stadium Sunday morning. They participated in races of several lengths, including a full marathon, half marathon, relay, 10K, and 5K. Several stations were also set up along the race course where you could cheer on the participants. Calgary-based Nageso Tous was the first to cross the finish line after just 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 50 seconds. Congratulations to everybody who took part. Pretty impressive. Quite the accomplishment. The weather cooperated for the marathon. Maybe not for whatever you're planning tonight, though.
Well, you talked about the megastorm, and I know that's not far in many people's memories at all. The last thing you want to hear me talk about if you are in some of those hardest hit areas is the possibility for another super soaking. Well, that looks like it's quite possible. Here's what it looks like on the radar right now, but this is really just the prelude to what's to come in the next few hours. Environment Canada has issued a special weather statement right from the southwest corner up north of Dauphin, including Brandon, over to Portage La Prairie, down to Winkler, and right up to Winnipeg's doorstep. So various amounts are forecast. I'll show you who could see what and where and when it will all be behind us, and a look ahead, of course, to the rest of the week. But let's take a look right now through the CTV Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it's cloudy, 22 degrees, light winds out of the southwest. The pressure is dropping, and the humidity right now, merrily, is 39%.
Thanks, Colleen. A house fire claimed the life of a woman in Selkirk over the weekend. RCMP say the blaze broke out Saturday night at a home on Clandeboye Avenue. Crews were met with flames and heavy smoke when they arrived, but firefighters entered anyways after learning a woman was still inside. Mounties say a 29-year-old woman was found unresponsive and pronounced dead at hospital. Authorities believe the fire was accidental, but an investigation is underway. One person is dead and another seriously injured after a car rolled into the ditch in the RM of Oakview. It happened Saturday afternoon just after 4:30 p.m. on Highway 24. Police say a westbound vehicle hit the gravel shoulder. The driver then overcorrected, crossed both lanes, and rolled into a ditch. A 35-year-old man who was found inside the car died from his injuries. A 39-year-old man who was ejected from the vehicle was taken to hospital. He's suffering from serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of the crash is under investigation. The Prime Minister has tapped Manitoba's Chief Justice to the highest court in the country. Glenn Joyal has been nominated to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court of Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Joyal has demonstrated the integrity, experience, and judgment required of the Supreme Court. Joyal has served as the Chief Justice of the Court of King's Bench in Manitoba since 2011. The selection process for a new justice began back in March to replace Justice Sheila Martin, who retired at the end of May. A big boost for a first-of-its-kind clean energy project in northern Manitoba.
For generations, northern communities have been asked to adapt systems designed elsewhere. Today, Sayasi Dene First Nation is designing its own future.
The federal government is helping Sayasi Dene in its development of Manitoba's first integrated renewable energy microgrid with a $21.6 million investment. Planning of this project began back in 2020. The first phase includes solar power, battery storage, and a controlled microgrid.
Revenue generated from solar power will go toward community needs as we strive to become more sustainable and reduce our emissions.
The project is expected to reduce diesel usage by 26% each year and emissions by an estimated 500 tons of carbon dioxide annually. The goal is to eventually reduce diesel reliance by 60%. A solar power field is set to be built next to the diesel plant this summer, with the microgrid going online this fall. The federal government's infrastructure arm is throwing its weight behind a high-speed internet project in our province. The Canada Infrastructure Bank has agreed to loan nearly $27 million to Valley Fibre for its broadband service expansion, which involves laying more than 1,200 kilometers of fiber optic cable. This map shows which traditionally underserved communities will soon have access to the service, which offers broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit per second. Valley Fibre says construction is already underway in some areas just south of Winnipeg. The rest will start on a staggered basis throughout the summer.
What this will enable is, in essence, a fiber infrastructure that will go into these communities so that residents of those communities can get the same world-class experience broadband service that people in urban centers have enjoyed for a number of years.
Valley Fibre CEO Ryan Clausen says the company is aiming to have the services ready for nearly all of those areas before the end of the year. The rate of inflation surged faster in Manitoba than most of the rest of the country last month. Statistics Canada says the annual rate of inflation jumped to 3.2% in May, up from 2.8% in April. That's the highest rate since December 2023. The rate here in Manitoba was 4.6%, up 3 points from a month earlier. Economists, however, see little cause for panic, with oil prices already receding and the Bank of Canada unlikely to move away from the sidelines anytime soon. A new poll suggests Manitobans are more optimistic about their finances than most of the rest of the country. According to the Angus Reid Institute, a little more than a quarter of Manitobans say their household's current financial situation is in good shape. Now, this includes 13% who say it's very good. Nationally, just 7 in 10 report good or very good finances. Manitobans were also less likely than most of the rest of the country to criticize the government for its performance of the economy. The online survey of more than 4,200 Canadian adults was conducted between June 4th and the 10th. It was made up of members of the Angus Reid Forum. However, a random sample of the same size would carry a margin of error of plus or minus 2 percentage points. Some exciting news tonight for cyclists who live near Fairgrove Park. A brand new community trail officially open to the public today. Yeah, lots of cheers for this. Fairgrove Park Trail is the brainchild of Luke Barr, a teacher at nearby Stanley Knowles School. Barr noticed the park was filled with berms and other natural features which would be perfect for a bike trail, especially one that would be used by young riders. However, trails don't just get created on their own, and this one took years of effort.
We hit a point where I just sort of wasn't, I'm a teacher, I don't navigate bureaucracy and stuff, and it got tough, and I didn't really know the next steps. And students from our green team came to me and said, no, Mr. Barr, you need to get this done. You need to put in this work. You need to take advantage of these grants. And that started the next grant writing process.
Thanks to key support from City Councillor Vivian Santos and Trails Manitoba, the project has now become a reality. Councillor Santos says the Winnipeg School Division will help maintain the active transportation trail, which is on city property. If your commute takes you into South Winnipeg, there are a few road closures you're going to want to keep in mind. Starting today, the northbound ramp from Pembina Highway to eastbound Abinogi-Mikina is closed for construction. A detour is in place along Bison Drive and Waverly Street. Work there is expected to take around 6 weeks. Also tonight, northbound Dakota Street is closed at Bellevaux Road to accommodate some paving work. Transit is being rerouted as a result, and turns are restricted. This one's expected to reopen around 11 p.m. tonight. Still to come, 3 people are dead following a shootout in Montreal.
It's a very, very sad day. It's a nightmare.
What led to the fatal shooting that left an officer, a civilian, and a suspect dead? The latest when we return. It was a mixed day on the markets today. Crude oil lost nearly $2. The loonie rose to 70.61 cents U.S. Gold futures plunged $43. The TSX added 144 points. The Dow Jones was up 148 points, while the Nasdaq fell 351 points. A chaotic scene in Montreal today after a call for shots fired ended with a police officer, a civilian, and the suspect all dead. It happened in Montreal's Côte-des-Neiges neighborhood. A second police officer was left in critical condition. CTV Jean-Vier Beauchemin has more.
A massive police investigation has been launched after what was a very, very chaotic day here in Montreal that saw the loss of 3 lives, a police officer, a young male police officer, a suspect, but also a civilian. There's also a female police officer who was injured. Her life is not in danger, but we're told she was seriously hurt. The chain of events started at about 11:35 this morning with a call, a 911 call saying that there was the barrel of a gun that could be seen protruding from a building. And so police officers responded to that call. They got to the scene, and there was a shootout with police officers and the suspect. We don't know exactly what happened, who the suspect was at the moment, and what the investigation will reveal about the motives of that particular suspect, though police say he was wearing camouflage, and they're investigating exactly what kind of events led to this moment. We also know that at the moment of that shooting, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of movement at the particular scene. This is an area where there are a lot of people milling about at that time. There were people shopping around the area there. We spoke to one witness, John Alexander, who was talking about the fact that he was there. He had just gone to the grocery store, had come out when he started hearing gunshots, about 40 of them. Here's what he had to say about the events that unfolded.
The active shooter was like in front of me.
You saw him?
Yes, I saw him. It was a white dude, old dude, with a camouflage, with a shotgun on the hand, so that's very scary.
It's not clear just how the investigation will unfold, what police force will be doing that, but it is just the beginning. Now, this has been, of course, a very difficult day for the police force here in Montreal. The police chief, Fadi Daguerre, actually came to the scene and spoke to reporters about the events. He talked about the fact that this is the first time in 24 years when a police officer here in Montreal has been killed in the line of duty, has been shot and killed in the line of duty. So certainly these are very, very difficult times. Here's how the police chief, Fadi Daguerre, described it.
It's a very, very sad day. It's a nightmare. And But we have to be solid. We have to be solid for our lady police officer who survived, and we're all behind her. And well, that's it.
There was a very large perimeter that had been set up here in Montreal because police didn't know if there was a second suspect. They didn't know where this investigation would lead, so they had shut down major arteries in the city that led to traffic chaos. The traffic has begun flowing again, but this investigation is just beginning. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Today, the Minister of Energy announced what he called a new beginning or new chapter for Canada's nuclear program. The strategy outlines a plan for the sector both at home and abroad, but it's short on details when it comes to funding or specific projects. CTV's Graham Richardson reports.
They are complex and expensive, but also steady workhorses of electricity in Canada, nuclear reactors. The government announcing today they want an aggressive strategy to boost Canada's nuclear output.
We are writing the next chapter in one of Canada's greatest industrial success stories.
The plan, build up to 10 new reactors. Right now, 90,000 people work in the industry. They want to double that in the next decade and enter 4 international markets by 2040.
If our goal is to double our grid and reach net zero by 2050, there is no credible plan for Canada to do that without nuclear energy.
All those new reactors will need more uranium. NextGen's deposit of uranium in northern Saskatchewan at the Athabasca Basin is one of the world's largest. The company will build a mine here and partner with First Nations and Métis people.
It's a very exciting time. We're players now in that space, and it's a good future to look at in regards to where nuclear energy is going.
All of this new generation will create more waste. Eventually, it will come here. The tiny town of Ignace in northwestern Ontario will be the site of a massive nuclear waste facility. The mayor says that has already benefited her town.
I've always said this is our future, and it's not just our future as in our Ignace and Wabigoon. It's Canada's future.
The Prime Minister was not involved in this strategy because of previous connections to companies that work in the nuclear space. The Prime Minister's office, when asked, would not tell us the names of those companies. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ottawa.
Industry Minister Melanie Joly is in Japan to talk trade with business leaders. Earlier today, she talked about her progress so far, highlighting the contribution of Toyota and Honda to the Canada auto sector and hinting good news may be on the way for workers in Alliston, Ontario, Honda Canadian production hub.
And so I value very much the relationship with Japan. I value very much the relationship with Honda and Toyota. And I'm convinced also that the people in Alliston will be receiving good news shortly, because I think that Honda and Toyota also value very much our relationship.
Joly says 77% of auto production from Honda and Toyota, providing stable employment and investment in Canada. The union representing more than 19,000 Canadian auto workers began negotiations today. Talks between Unifor and 3 automakers are taking place in Toronto. The union is dealing with Ford first. Once something is ironed out with Ford, talks with Stellantis and General Motors are expected to follow. Unifor National President Lana Payne says these talks will be one of the most consequential rounds of auto negotiations the union has ever faced. The current collective agreements are set to expire in September. Turning to the Middle East now, mediators say they have seen encouraging progress in talks between the United States and Iran. Today, the U.S. Vice President said Tehran has agreed to allow international nuclear inspectors back into the country.
That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot of great progress on other nuclear talks.
Iran's prime minister says sanctions on his country's oil have been waived and some of its frozen assets were released. In a joint statement, Qatar and Pakistan say a high-level committee has agreed to a roadmap for reaching a final deal in 60 days. Transcona CN 2747 celebrated its 100th anniversary over the weekend.
2, 3.
Officially, the historic steam locomotive turned 100 years old back in April, but Transcona Museum decided to wait to throw a celebration during the summer when the weather is better. And that's exactly what happened. There was face painting, a community barbecue, and much more that took over Rotary Heritage Park Saturday. The museum's curator thanked the community for its support with the preservation work.
It was the first steam locomotive built by CN in Western Canada, and it was the first of 33 steam locomotives built here in Transcona. So very special to the community, but also it was donated to Transcona by CN, donated to the Kiwanis Club as a representative of the importance of the railway to the community. So the fact that we still have it, the fact that we've been working hard to repair it, to preserve it for future generations, I think that means a lot.
The museum plans to keep working on it so it can be there for its 200th anniversary as well.
The trees has a function, has a role to play in our community.
It's believed to be a world first. A small Quebec community officially recognized trees as living beings with rights. We'll explain what that means just ahead.
And the long-range forecast for Winnipeg starts out dry, mix of sun and cloud, 22 degrees. Now, that's not a given the rest of the week. Thursday, Friday, a mix of sun and cloud, but both days have at least the chance of thunderstorms and similar daytime highs. Well, exactly the same forecast high, 24 degrees. 24 again by Saturday, mostly cloudy. A higher likelihood of showers returns Sunday, maybe even thunderstorms too, with a high of just 21.
A Quebec town says it's the first in the world to adopt a resolution recognizing trees as living beings with rights. So what does that mean? Anastasia Dextrain finds out.
Most people see trees as part of the landscape, but residents in Terrasse-Vaudreuil see them differently.
The trees has a function, has a role to play in our community, and for us it's really important to acknowledge that.
As a member of the Environmental Committee, Sylvie Trépanier is pleased to see her city leading the charge. The Quebec town has signed on to the Universal Declaration of the Rights of the Tree. It recognizes trees as having the right to regeneration, to natural growth, and integrity. It also recognizes their right to life.
We will change the rulings for our new reality by having so many trees. Protect them, don't knock them down because you have one branch that fell during a snowstorm or whatever. You know, really be aware that you can do something with your trees by using mulch, by making benches and furniture with those trees. That's something that we want people to be aware they can do.
Trépanier says the city will also encourage residents to plant more non-invasive species of trees. She says it will help to mitigate climate change by absorbing stormwater and supporting biodiversity.
At this moment, we have 87,000 signatures, more than that.
Jenny Vega Cardenas is president of the International Observatory of Nature Rights, and she believes it's a positive step for the environment.
We are waiting for the federal or the provincial level to do something for climate change and being disappointed. So it's a way to be positively active. You can feel that you are not powerless, that you can do something. Each person can ask his mayor to pass the resolution or to sign it right away.
Balance everything. I'm not against construction, I'm not against, but when you see those huge buildings with no trees, I mean, plant some, please.
Meanwhile, the town of 2,000 residents hopes signing the declaration will plant the seeds for others to follow suit. Anastasia Dextrain, CTV News.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady is back now with your Skywatch forecast, and the trees are going to get some watering, courtesy of Mother Nature in a lot of places.
Are they ever? Depending on where you are, an awful lot of rain could potentially be heading your way. Rain and showers, maybe even thunderstorms thrown into the mix as well. Primarily in the southwest, although south central Manitoba could get a soaking as well. We're already seeing thunderstorms in the southwest corner of the province. Showers look quite likely. They're right on Winnipeg's doorstep here. But if we see this line of showers come through, we'll probably get a break after that here in the city for a few hours. Meanwhile, it is the southwest that's going to bear the brunt of the heavy showers that are expected to move in overnight. Now, Environment Canada issued this special weather statement for these areas for much of the southwest, their south central areas, and right up to Winnipeg's doorstep and down into the Red River Valley. In a very widespread sense, amounts could range from 15 to 50 millimeters by Wednesday morning. And again, it does look like the heavier amounts should be well to the west of Winnipeg, but we could see 10-15 millimeters fall tomorrow. But areas first in the southwest will get those showers moving in tonight. Now, Environment Canada expects that when these showers start to roll in later tonight, we're already starting to see those thunderstorms in the southwest corner, that they're going to slow down or just outright stall. And as they do, those are those areas that are going to see those heavier amounts. And you can see where that green turns to yellow and orange. That is indicative of pretty significant rainfall. Brandon, for example, could see 10-20 millimeters tonight and similar amounts throughout the day tomorrow. Then as we get throughout the latter part of the morning, that's when really the rain is expected to pick up here in the southeast. We could see some rain showers during the commute. Just be prepared for that here in the Red River Valley. But as we go throughout the afternoon, you see those showers and the rain continues to spread east and then ultimately into northwestern Ontario by late in the afternoon. Overnight, we'll see those showers ease up considerably and move further south. So by Wednesday morning, we should be drier. Other areas could see some scattered showers, but the bulk of that rain will have gone through and be well on its way. So for tonight, as you saw there on the radar, we could get a little bit of light rain or showers this evening, down to 14 degrees overnight. Overnight, there is the outside chance some of the showers will resume here in the city. Now, tomorrow morning, again, rain or showers likely. The risk of thunderstorms is really later in the morning, but 15 for the commute in terms of temperatures, 18 in the afternoon with rain and showers well in progress throughout the afternoon. And again, with that added risk of thunderstorms. Once we get to about 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, too, those winds will really strengthen out of the southeast at 30 with wind gusts possibly as strong as 50 kilometers an hour throughout the rest of the day. The UV index for Tuesday for Winnipeg is 3 or moderate. Up into the northeast tonight, Churchill starts out clear. Gillam starts out partly cloudy, and then you'll reverse overnight, dropping down to just 2 in Churchill. Island Lake down to 10 degrees there. Just a few clouds in Thompson tonight, down to 10. Mix of sun and cloud there tomorrow, 23 degrees. But in the afternoon, there's a low chance of showers there. Partly cloudy across the northwest tonight. Overnight lows between 9 and 11 degrees. A mix of sun and cloud around the region tomorrow. Ocean and the Paw, there's a chance of showers with a high tomorrow of 21. In the southwest tonight, watch for showers and thunderstorms to just intensify throughout the night. 11, 12 degrees around the region, and then tomorrow more of the same, more showers and maybe thunderstorms. Brandon 16, Dauphin 15 for your Tuesday high. Winnipeg in the southeast will see some showers come through first, likely this evening. We could see some resume overnight, 13, 14 degrees overnight, and then again, it's really once we get into the morning when that rain and the showers are really going to come through. Highs, upper teens, low 20s, 18 for Winnipeg. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, partly cloudy for Kenora and Dryden. Really around the region, it'll be late afternoon when there's a good chance those showers will reach you too, with highs in the low 20s. Our first weather photo is a beautiful one. This was taken by Thomas looking out onto the Red River from his perspective in St. Vital here in Winnipeg. Now, this is a neat photo too. Kurt sent this photo. This was taken on Friday near Concordia Hospital up in the northeast part of the city looking east. Neat shot there too. Send us your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. A National Indigenous Peoples Day celebration took over the Forks this weekend. Powwows, a drag brunch, and other cultural experiences were all part of the annual festivities Sunday. It's part of the 11-day-long Many Nations, One Heartbeat celebration, which honors several treaties until Canada Day.
It is so special. The Forks, as people know, has been a meeting place for thousands and thousands of years, and it's great to be able to celebrate the cultures and the history that came before us.
This year marks the 30th National Indigenous Peoples Day, which was proclaimed in Canada in 1996. Coinciding with Father's Day this year, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew said in a statement, quote, "Just as our parents pass on parts of themselves, previous generations passed on languages, cultural traditions, and treaties which continue to shape Manitoba today." Present or plugged in? What a new study says about parents and their relationships with kids when phones are in the mix. Medical Watch is next. It's the end of the line for yet another British Prime Minister. With news, Keir Starmer is stepping down. Britain is on track for its 7th PM in a decade. And joining me now to discuss what a change at 10 Downing Street means for our country is Brian Peeler, the Associate Head of Political Studies at the U of M. Brian, good to speak with you.
Thanks very much for having me on today.
What does this news mean for the Canada-UK relationship?
That's an excellent question. I think two things here. First, continuity matters here. The UK is a G7 partner, a key backer of Ukraine, and an important sounding board for the Canadian Prime Minister at the moment when the administration in Washington is somewhat unpredictable, we might say. So the relationship Canada is leading on just got a big sort of question mark over it. And second, I think we need to kind of be honest about the sort of limits of what we know right now. Burnham, who's sort of the front runner to be the next leader of the Labour Party at the moment, we don't really know much about him. He has no foreign or defense policy, or he was a mayor in Manchester, right? So he is running on a domestic platform. So that's a real contrast with Starmer, who was visible on the world stage. So I think whoever takes over is going to inherit a live fight over defense spending in the UK. So for Canada, I think the honest answer here is that that direction is genuinely open, where the uncertainty with the relationship is really the story here.
Yeah, you mentioned Annie Burnham. He is the front runner seen right now to replace Starmer. Well, we don't know a lot about him. No. Is there discussions or talk about how him taking on this role could change Britain's place on the world stage?
I don't think it would really. I mean, the reason we're talking about him anyway is he's the only, British senior figure in British politics at the moment with any sort of positive approval ratings. So, but like I said, he was, the mayor of Manchester, and we really don't know much about what his foreign or defense policies would be. I think there's little reason to think they would change very much, given what we know about Burnham and sort of his politics. He would seem to be, would want contrast to what we see out of the Trump administration. So I would expect continuity, but I think, again, like I said, the thing here is the uncertainty of the relationship now.
And this uncertainty is kind of an ongoing thing. 7 prime ministers in 10 years. What does this say about the stability of the political system in the UK?
Well, that's, the interesting question here. Starmer will stay on as the caretaker prime minister until September, and right across Europe, the big established parties of the left and the right have been losing ground to these newer challengers. But I think there's an interesting structural problem here for the Labour Party in the UK. When Starmer came to power, he sort of locked himself into a problem where he said that, he's not going to raise taxes, he's not going to borrow money, he's not going to reopen Brexit. So he had no few levers to try and deal with the UK economy. And then, on his conceding ground to the right on immigration to try and neutralize reform voters in the UK has cost him voters in the cities. So, he sort of squeezed himself from both sides, and it's not clear that, trying to attract reform voters who are never going to vote Labour in the first place, it's not going to help the Labour Party.
Be interesting to see how things play out over the weeks, months ahead. Brian, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts on this tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thanks very much, Marilee.
Authorities say confirmed cases of the Ebola outbreak in eastern Congo have reached 1,003, including 254 deaths. The Ebola outbreak, caused by a rare strain of the virus, has no vaccines or treatment. Officials admit there could be far more cases they still don't know about, and that the peak of the outbreak is still ahead. Contact tracing remains a key issue for authorities, who have only achieved a 55% coverage rate, according to local health officials. A warning tonight about how not to use massage guns. It comes after a man in his 20s developed retinal tears and other injuries after repeatedly using a massage gun on and around his eyes. The case was published in BMJ Case Reports. Researchers say he sought medical attention after experiencing floaters and occasional flashing lights in his right eye for nearly a week. Doctors managed to treat the retinal tears with laser surgery, and 6 months later, his condition was stable and his vision was preserved. The researchers warn the devices can cause serious eye injuries when used improperly and want clearer warnings from manufacturers. A new study suggests being distracted by your phone may be impacting the relationship with the young people in your life. Researchers surveyed 600 adolescents who were between the ages of 12 and 17. They were asked how attentive their primary caregiver was to their phones during family interactions. The researchers also looked at how the adolescents reported the strength of their emotional bond with their caregiver. The study found the adolescents who perceived their caregivers were frequently distracted by their phone felt less confident relying on the adults for support. The young people were also more likely to report feeling less secure in their relationships. The research was published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
The heartbeat, culture that refuses to be forgotten.
Morgan Freeman is stepping into the music scene with his own blues album. Those details next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Las Vegas headliner Terry Fader.
You won't have to travel far to enjoy some of the musical stylings of the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. Musicians will be popping up across the city later this week. Now, it all gets started Wednesday at noon with a Woodwinds Ensemble performance over at Hargrave Street Plaza. More performances take place right through Sunday, including at Transcona Centennial Square, the St. Norbert Farmers Market, and the Beer Can. And perhaps best of all, it's free. A titan of the music industry, Clive Davis, has died at 94. Davis guided the careers of Whitney Houston, Barry Manilow, and Aretha Franklin, just to name a few. He started his career at Columbia Records, rising to become a household name in the music business. His last position was Chief Creative Officer for Sony Music Entertainment. Davis had been hospitalized recently with respiratory problems. Oscar-winning actor Morgan Freeman is venturing into the music world.
Welcome to our symphonic blues experience. Classic orchestra.
Freeman produces and narrates the album titled Morgan Freeman's Symphonic Blues Experience. It includes a dozen tracks that combine blues and orchestral music, charting the genre across the decades. It's due for release August 7th. Coming up tonight on your primetime lineup, Sullivan's Crossing starts things off at 7, and American Ninja Warrior is on at 8. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Seeing him spread the joy and watching it grow over time was just so amazing to see.
Coming up, sharing a lifelong passion whose massive board game collection went up for sale in Winnipeg over the weekend.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
22 degrees in Winnipeg right now, cloudy, very light winds, just 3 kilometers an hour coming from the southwest. The normal high for this time of year is 24. We got close, 23. Last year on this day, 18.2 degrees. That's closer to our daytime high tomorrow. But before we get there, just a chance of showers tonight yet, 14 degrees. 18 Tuesday with showers and rain throughout the day. 10-15 millimeters is possible. Thunderstorms are a risk as well. Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud, 22. Chance of more thunderstorms Thursday and Friday.
Thanks, Colleen. A late Métis Ojibwe playwright's board game collection was able to meet its new owners thanks to his children. Ian Ross, best known as Joe from Winnipeg, died in November 2025 at the age of 57. Ian was a big collector of board games for about 30 years and organized the Winnipeg Board Game Club. Saturday, his children, Julia and Chris, held the Ian Ross board game sale at Lord Roberts Community Centre. Hundreds of games were up for grabs, and people lined up outside the community centre even before it opened, hoping to get their hands on one.
If my dad saw how many people were just so thrilled and just saw how many people were just in awe of how many games he had, it would just make him so happy. It would fill his heart. He was such a generous man, and he gave so much, and he would have loved to have seen other people finding deals and just, yeah, finding their games.
Now, Julia adds she wanted to make sure people could find a game at a good price because she says her dad was a big deal hunter, too. Pretty impressive.
Quite a collection.
Yeah, a lot of people having fun tonight playing those games.
I hope
Thanks
so.
to
Yes.
Mr. Ross. All right, that does it for us tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night.
Oh, a quick note before we go, actually. FIFA World Cup. Tomorrow there is a game. Both our 5 and 6 o'clock broadcasts are being preempted as a result. Tune into our website to see our 6 o'clock news. We'll have a special broadcast there. And then we're back on Wednesday for regular programming. Tune in online tomorrow. Got that? All right. We'll see you then.